Hello, this is Matt on the Moon Lambeau channel. Even more mainstream media starts covering the SEC vs. Ripple lawsuit. The latest entrant here being Newsweek. I read this article just yesterday, and I want to run through it with you because I'll tell you what, it's striking to me. Because look, like the more mainstream media coverage comes to this case, the more you can see that everyone that looks into the facts and circumstances of this case that isn't an SEC lawyer can see just how messed up the charges are. Everybody that's not an SEC lawyer, why is it? Why is it the case that everybody comes to about the same conclusion, which is like, wow, this is tremendous SEC overreach? Like, where are the articles saying, well, Ripple's going to have a tough one here. SEC's in the right. XRP looks like it's a security. It shouldn't be traded on cryptocurrency exchanges in the United States. Where is that? Do you see that anywhere? I mean, you can find some maximalists that hold those types of opinions, Bitcoin maximalists. Yeah, you can find those. But as far as any sort of remotely reputable media outlet, where are you seeing those types of narratives? They're non-existent. Non-existent. The only people on the planet that think that the SEC charges against Ripple are in the right, makes sense, are the SEC attorneys. They're the only people at the SEC believe this. It's astonishing. And so that's why I keep thinking, like, when this gets to court and the specific facts of this case, reach the judge, in their entirety, I just don't see how this goes in the favor of the SEC. So I want to run through this and share with you some thoughts along the way. But at the outset, I want to be clear: I do not have a legal or financial background of any kind. I am not offering legal or financial advice. So you definitely should not buy or sell anything because of anything that I say or write. I'm just an enthusiast who enjoys making YouTube videos about crypto-related topics, but just as a hobby and just for fun. So that's all that's going on here. And in we go. Oh, by the way, they titled this here, Congress needs to provide guardrails for the cryptocurrency revolution. And actually, I came across this thanks to John Deaton and his crypto law organization here. And here's something that John Deaton wrote after sharing this. He said, "We will get the truth to have its day no matter how many days it takes. As I've said, this case gets less and less about a company called Ripple and a crypto called XRP." Yeah, no kidding. It's about the SEC messing up. And yes, Congress does need to jump in. I've been saying that for the longest damn time, which is also why I'm in favor of lobbying efforts increasing in the world of crypto. Anyway, piece reads as follows. The Chinese Communist Party poses the most comprehensive 21st century threat to the American nation, the American people, and the American way of life. The first half of this century will be defined by how the U.S. meets the Chinese challenge across the full spectrum of economic, national security, geopolitical, and cultural issues. And an easily neglected aspect of our new great power competition with our Far East arch foe now cries out for diligent and prompt attention, safeguarding the fruits of the nascent but ascendant cryptocurrency revolution. Now, last month, China effectively banned all cryptocurrency trading and mining, which the Communist Party increasingly views as a threat to its planned digital yuan sovereign digital currency, which may be released as early as 2022. And if I can just pause there to note, cryptocurrency in a general sense is a threat to any fiat currency. Not that I think all fiat currencies are going to necessarily go away. Sovereign nations are going to make sure they have monetary control. So there are things that you can do to make sure you have monetary control. But it's just so interesting to me. Like, China had to have known that even ridding it from their own country, they're not going to stop it from becoming a power that is more important than any particular fiat currency, if that's the end result of this anyway. Which is to say, China saying, no, we're not going to do it. It's just as futile as North Korea banning the internet and having the intranet, which is just like local networks within North Korea, but they don't have the internet. Like, you can do that, but the internet still exists, and the rest of the world's benefiting from it. And so if you think that you're going to have your new digital form, digital yuan, your central bank digital currency come out, and you're just eliminating competition, you are fooling yourself, because it's still out there in the wild, and you're still going to have to contend with it. It's just the economic advances that could be associated with cryptocurrency. You're saying, nope, we don't want the economic benefit within our country. That's what they're saying. And it's stupid. STOOPID, stupid, but What are you going to do? You know? That's like when you get into this, like, you understand, like, it's communism. Like, so of course they're doing this, but it's not actually beneficial. Anyway. The People's Bank of China, the Chinese Central Bank and Federal Reserve equivalent, barred international exchanges from providing cryptocurrency services to Chinese investors and speculators. It also banned financial institutions and digital exchanges from facilitating domestic crypto transactions. China's moves have further exacerbated already high volatility in the crypto markets, leading to intensified calls for the Securities and Exchange Commission to provide regulatory clarity. For instance, Senator Pat Toomey, Republican Pennsylvania, an orthodox free marketeer, noted last month that in some recent crypto-related enforcement actions, quote, the SEC did not identify the securities involved or the rationale for their status as securities, which would have provided much-needed public regulatory clarity, end quote. Yeah, exactly. So here you have, think about this, you have Gary Gensler and the like refusing to speak about individual cryptocurrencies. And the argument is, well, look, you know, I mean, we can't. There's 12,000 of them. It's not something we're bringing a charge against. But then even when they're bringing a charge against specific cryptocurrency platforms, like, even when they've done that, there's been recent instances where still there's not a rationale as to why they brought the charges. They're not even explaining it with some of this stuff. And so, like, how are you to provide any sort of clarity when people viewing this are just like, okay, but the reason you brought the suit is, and then there's just nothing. It's just crickets. And so it couldn't be more clear that they're not operating in good faith here. They're absolutely not. Piece continues that the issue with extant SEC enforcement in the crypto space, as Toomey indicated, is its wildly inconsistent and oftentimes outright punitive nature to date. Crypto proponents contend that the only clear guidance from the SEC has been found through various one-off lawsuits. They point to the SEC's ongoing case against Ripple Labs, a blockchain software company that uses the XRP cryptocurrency in cross-border payment settlements for banks. Ripple sought SEC guidance for years while billions of XRP tokens circulated, but never received any. In December 2020, the SEC then filed a $1.3 billion enforcement action alleging that every XRP sale since 2013 constituted an unregistered securities trade. That is not how due process of law is supposed to work in a well-functioning republic. Yeah, well stated. No kidding right there. And it's still, there's so many reasons that this is wrong, including if you're like, and they do mean this, literally every single transaction. Most transactions occur outside of the United States, and they still say it's an unregistered securities trade. If it's outside the United States, they don't have jurisdiction over that stuff. It's pure insanity. They will make whatever the hell claim they want and just see what sticks. I'm pretty repulsed by their behavior in general. Like, these are not reputable, ethical, good people. They're just not. I wouldn't want them to be my neighbor. I really would not. As the U.S. locks horns in a generation-defining struggle with China, and as the recent Chinese crackdown on cryptocurrencies opens the door for the United States to regain the global mantle on crypto innovation, it would be a mistake to simply double down on more of the SEC's peculiar brand of regulatory clarity. That's in quotation marks, by the way. The U.S. should support emerging technologies with the potential to add value to the economy, so long as those technologies are not detrimental to the national interest and the common good. The way to do that is not via inconsistent and incoherent regulatory enforcement based on whether a specific type of cryptocurrency is found to constitute an investment contract, i.e. security, under the Securities Act of 1933, according to the Supreme Court's Howey test from over 70 years ago. SEC Chairman Gary Gensler has thus far unhelpfully stated that most cryptocurrencies are likely securities. That is insufficient guidance. President Joe Biden is said to be weighing an executive order to direct agencies to craft clearer crypto regulations, but it is impossible to have any faith in doddering Uncle Joe's ability to unilaterally help matters in such a novel area of the economy. An entirely new approach is needed. One need not think very hard about where the new set of coherent legal guardrails ought to come from. In Republican Government, James Madison wrote in Federalist number 51, quote, "The legislative authority necessarily predominates," end quote. And so it ought to be for crypto regulation in the year 2021 as well. Yeah, exactly. Congress has the power to straighten this all out. It really is. It is that simple. Or should I just say it is that complex? Because apparently it's not working right now. But it's up to Congress. But see, that's why I keep saying, too, you really do need lobbyists. And just last year, Ripple was the largest lobbyist in the world of crypto. How much did they spend? For the entire calendar year, it was like $600,000 or $700,000. But that's like nothing. I did see a headline. I didn't get a chance to read the article, but it popped up a couple days ago, and I haven't thought about it until right now, actually. I wanted to go back and read it, so I'll have to look for it. But I saw a headline, if I'm not mistaken. It was Coinbase. In a single quarter, I think, they spent like, I could be wrong, because again, I just saw the headline once, but I think it was like $800,000 in a single quarter this year, in one quarter. And again, Ripple spent like $600,000 or $700,000 in an entire year, and that was the most spent in crypto, like, period, which is amazing. So now one quarter, just Coinbase. I mean, if what I saw is correct and I'm recalling this properly, then $800,000 in one quarter. So that's a start. Go in that direction. Because as far as what the SEC can and can't do and the powers that they have over the crypto space, Congress dictates that. And so every industry, like it or not, this is the way it works. You need to lobby for your industry. So yes, this makes all the sense in the world. And I want to see more of that. But the SEC, it needs to be reined in, because what the SEC is doing is absolutely detrimental to what's going on in the United States. It's detrimental to investors in the space and entrepreneurs, everybody. They're just tearing it all down, and they don't care because they want more power. Like the ego on these people. It's all about them. And then it's under this facade that they're doing this all to protect investors. Oh, my ass. No, not a freaking chance. These are power-hungry pricks. These people, this is not justice, this is not ethical, and it cannot stand. Anyway, the piece continues, though. Congress urgently needs to step in and either force the SEC to provide actual, meaningful regulatory clarity for the entirety of the cryptocurrency industry, or to draft legislation itself. Such legislation would be a modern-day Securities Act update and would provide extremely clear guidance as to which forms of cryptocurrency, Bitcoin, Ether, and so forth, constitute securities/investment contracts under the Securities Act of 1933 and which do not. The former category of securities would require SEC registration, whereas the latter category of commodities would fall under the Commodity Futures Trading Commission's regulatory ambit. Massive economic paradigm-shifting industries require the most rudimentary of guidelines and categorical sorting to best channel their comprehensive societal value add. This is simply not a partisan issue either. Just as the Securities Act of 1933 was needed in its day, so is the Securities Act of 2021 needed now. It's time for Congress to get moving. Golf clap for Newsweek here. Author Josh Hammer on the opinion piece there. Absolutely nailing it. Just rocking that one right out of the park. And indeed, it is true. Like this isn't some sort of partisan issue. You have people on the left and the right that agree on this, and then you have a smaller percentage that don't get it and disagree. But it's not one side or the other explicitly. I can name people that have been appointed by leadership on both sides, and so it actually isn't even about that, which is good. That wouldn't help. That'd be an extra layer of nonsense to handle here. But still, we need a path forward here. And so it's really nice seeing mainstream media covering this. And then, like I said, here you have Newsweek. That's a big name, the latest to be covered that I've seen anyway, out of mainstream media. But more is coming, and I'm thrilled too to see the likes of Fox Business Network covering this. And you've had Forbes, you've had the New York Times, and it's a big story. And I think that more should be covering this. I'm actually kind of surprised that we're not seeing more. It's like finally we just got a major news network covering it in Fox Business Network, which is great, and they're doing a bang up job on all of this. Hopefully more follow suit. But there we are. I'll go ahead and wrap up here, though. I am not a financial advisor. You should not buy or sell anything because of anything that I say or write. That would be a very, very, very bad idea. Until next time, to the moon, Lambo.